more and more of a buzzword, content marketing, because unless you've got content that your target audience really enjoys reading, listening, watching, looking at, then they're not going to share, they're not going to comment on it, and they're not going to link to it. And so without that content, how are you going to get your search ranking? How are you going to get social media engagement? How are people going to open your email newsletters? How are you going to get your brand out there without just shouting, these are our products and services? Newsreach, well, it fills in lots and lots of gaps. First of all, it can be really difficult in-house to produce enough varied content that is interesting. We've got international sourcing for newsrooms, so that's really, really easy for us. The other thing is that you can't expect your writer to also be a search expert. Obviously, our writers go through that search training with us, but then are they also have the technical ability to make sure the content's on site to improve SEO? We've got developers. Do they know about PR? It's basically the infrastructure that Newsreach offers that you just can't replicate in-house. The first thing, and really the core of it all, is our editorial brief. So we need to go into a lot of detail. Who are we writing for? What are the topics that are going to interest them? How should we categorise that content to relate to your products and services? What are your keywords? What's your brand tone and voice, and so on? So all of this is in an editorial brief. Without the editorial brief, it ends up being generic, and that's certainly not what Newsreach is about. It's about really, really tailored content. And then it's about making sure that we deliver that content so it doesn't take you any time in-house. We want to make sure that it's a service that just happens. You don't want to sit down and have your experts who should be out there working with your clients sitting down and blogging. Perhaps you can get us to do that. At the same time, you don't really want to be checking over it. You don't really want to be loading it into your CMS. We just make sure that it's an end-to-end product, from content creation to getting it onto your website, and then making sure it's working through all of your marketing channels. Our biggest sectors are the ones that have the most competition online, clearly, so finance, travel, legal, health, but then a lot of our clients are very niche, so we can be writing some really high-tech guides, or we could be writing some features for a science publication, for example, and so it's right across the board. A lot of the time we're working alongside PR teams that are producing PR. Sometimes the bloggers prefer to stay in-house, and we might be writing industry news or guides, for example. Infographics can be quite tricky to do in-house, so it could be that there's written static content being done in-house, and we need to get our designers involved and help with infographics or white papers. We have content marketing specialists. They're all analytics trained. First of all, we'll look at your website, do a health check. Is there anything that might prevent the content that we provide for you from maximising your search engine ranking, for example? Is there something that you're doing on social media that perhaps we would recommend could be done in a better way? Are your newsletters, are they a little bit promotion-led? Could we be experimenting with some more editorial content on your newsletters? So we'll do all of this work in the beginning, but it's about actually monitoring that once a client comes on board. We know which pieces of content are really engaging your users and driving them towards your business goals. So if we find that the longer feature articles are generating you more sales, we'll do more of that. And it's only by monitoring and reporting that back to you and giving some recommendations on what we should be doing in the next quarter can we know, well, it's about refining your content strategy as we go. It has to be agile. It can't just be, there's 60 articles, that's what we're going to stick with for the next year. We just don't work like that.